Hey everybody, welcome to class. My name is Frank Marco. I'll be your instructor for this class, and I'm so happy to be with you guys. I've been teaching in this area for quite some time now, and it's always exciting to me to get a new group of students in and expose them to some of these ideas and to walk them along to become more excellent leaders and managers in their churches and ministries. And right off the bat, you might be thinking to yourself, well, why do I need this class? You know, I'm already a leader, I'm already a pastor, I'm already doing these cool things. Isn't it enough just to study the Word and teach the Word and be involved in ministry? Well, much of what a minister does, and those of you with any experience know that this is true, is really the Monday through Saturday kind of work, right? As much as we love the ministry time, we love to teach, and we love to be involved in people's lives, a lot of what we have to do is really sort of that behind the scenes, mundane, taking care of business. A lot of it has to do with working with people, with challenging situations, with trying to organize our ministry so that things run smoothly, of trying to keep track of things, of trying to be fair to people, equitable, and thinking about the long-term success of our ministry. And so while we trust the Lord with those things, we also know that He has made us stewards to oversee the success of the ministry that we are over. And so I really look at a topic like this as part of discharging our ministerial responsibility, our leadership responsibility as good stewards of those things that the Lord has entrusted us. And so we're going to embark upon a journey. We're going to look at some detailed kinds of issues in terms of management. We're going to really focus a lot on the people side. How do we effectively manage people? Selecting, training, evaluating, rewarding, maybe even disciplining and terminating if need be. So it still is a very ministry-centered approach, but it's not the typical kinds of pulpit ministry and kinds of ministry that you usually think about when you're thinking about being in the ministry, right? But it's still very important. And hopefully in this first week we'll make the case that that this is not an afterthought. This is something that caught anybody by surprise, but really is an integral reflection and expression of God's heart for the affairs of His church. So anyhow, what I want to do in this introductory video really is just go through the course, give you an overview of the course. I'm going to present the course syllabus, and we're going to talk through some of the assignments so that by the time you're done with this first video, you'll have a good idea of what the class is about, what the expectations are, and moreover, how you can get a great grade. Because I know that's on your minds, right? Everybody wants to get a good grade. Well, I don't want to make that a secret. I'm going to lay it all out, lay it all on the table right here in front so you know exactly what's expected of you. So anyhow, if you haven't already read the course syllabus, I want you to do that now. It's available in the information area of the Blackboard class. So open that up, take 10, 15 minutes, read through it very carefully, mark any notes on there, questions you might have. Not that you'll be able to ask questions in the video, but maybe you can ask them in the general information question area in Blackboard, okay? And then when you're done reading it, then come back and watch this video, all right? So I want you all to hit pause and then come back when you're done reading. And I'll see you in a minute. Okay, hey, welcome back. It's good to have you here. Hopefully you read the video. You're watching the video. Hopefully you read the syllabus by now, and I'm just going to go through it. I'm not going to read through everything. I'll read through some of it, but we're going to skim over a lot because it would take forever if I read through the whole thing, all right? So hang on to your hats here as we go through the course syllabus. All right, so let's start by reading through the course description. This course is an integrative approach to biblical and theological foundations that prepares the students to administrate various church and parachurch functions and ministries with special attention given to the stewardship of financial, physical, and human resources. The course will focus on the dynamics of leading and managing healthy, growing churches and ministries. Participants will explore various facets of ministry leadership and management with special emphasis on implementing practical strategies. Proven ways to empower people and guide their ministries into greater effectiveness will be explored. All right, that's a lot there, right? But that kind of gives you an overview of the class. By the way, notice it mentions leadership, but this isn't really a leadership class per se. We'll have a small section on leadership, but there's other classes that really cover that more in depth, okay? So it's not a leadership class, it really is more of a management and administration class. All right, and there's a little note from the professor. Go ahead and read that. Let's go ahead and read through the student learning outcomes. The student who successfully completes this course will be able to evaluate basic principles of management and leadership, develop a biblical theology of stewardship within personal and ministry contexts, apply the planning and organizing stages of developing a ministry, build skills for converting ministry goals into a ministry budget, and adapt legal and tax concepts to relevant ministry and organizational environments. All right, so there you have it in a nutshell. That's what we are hoping will happen by the end of this class. Now, let's quickly talk about the textbooks here. There's quite a bit of them. The primary one, what I consider the primary textbooks, is this one right here, James Estep, Management Essentials for Christian Ministries. Now, there's 3 other books here. By the way, this I consider this the primary textbook. This is sort of the skeleton upon which the course lessons and the lectures are built upon, all right? So this is the primary one that you really need to read carefully. I don't want you to read them all carefully, but this is considered the primary textbook that will be the centerpiece of the course, more or less. Now, there's 3 additional books right here. Ron Sussick, Firestorm, Preventing and Overcoming Church Conflicts. Craig Pierce and Charles Manns and Henry Sims, Share, Don't Take the Lead. And Sam Rayner, Obstacles in the Established Church, How Leaders Overcome Them. Okay, and these are what I'm considering are secondary textbooks. One of those you'll actually choose to do a review, a book review and critique later on in the class, all right? So each of them sort of add a different facet. They go a little more in depth into a particular area of leadership and management. I think you're going to find each of them valuable, all right? And then Harvard Business Review, HBR's 10 must-reads on managing people. Excuse me. Now, that's actually more of a compendium of classic articles from Harvard Business Review. Now, you might be saying, well, this is a ministry class. Why am I reading Harvard Business Review? Because as a manager in the kingdom, you need to become aware of the best practices. You need to become aware of the larger principles that we know help us to run effective and healthy ministries and organizations. Now, were they written for ministry people? Not necessarily, but we're smart enough where we can get the essence of the idea and apply these in our context, all right? So they're not talking a lot about business, but they're talking about people and management and organizations, and a lot of what they say in those articles is applicable. And we'll chop those up each week for 5 weeks. We're actually going to look at those articles, and you're going to summarize them, and then you're going to make applications to your particular ministry, what you found interesting and valuable in those, all right? So I think you're going to like those as well. Let's kind of go through the course requirements here. Reading assignments, of course, reading the entire text according to the reading assignment instructions below. Video lectures. Watch all posted videos each week. And now, I've already prepared videos for this class. Actually, I prepared them for a separate class, but the content is exactly the same. So I didn't think it made sense to redo them all. The titles are going to refer to another class. And I don't think I mention assignments in those. I try to keep them as generic as possible just in case I have to do this. So those will be posted there as well. And you'll enjoy those videos, and I think they're going to supplement and sort of, speak from my heart about those particular topics each week. So I hope you enjoy those. Then, of course, each week we'll do discussion board postings, weekly discussion board postings from weeks 1 through 7. All right, so I have some specific guidelines down there below, so please read through those. Generally speaking, I'm looking for this. I'm looking to see that, number one, that you've read the course material, okay? So unless it just says, tell me your opinion about or tell me your experience of, I'm expecting to see that you reflect knowledge of the actual material that we're studying that week, all right? So I know we're all pretty smart. We could probably all just wing it on these questions. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for you to wing it. I'm looking for you to express knowledge of key concepts from the reading and from the class and from the lecture, okay? It's very important to me. In fact, you'll see that there's a grading rubric that I'm going to use to evaluate, and one of the criteria from the rubric is that you show knowledge of the content of the class, all right? So please take these seriously. It's a big part of your grade. In fact, it's 40% of your grade. 40%, that's a lot of your class grade. So Therefore, you need to really put your work into these. You need to do your homework and do your reading and understand these ideas before you jump in the discussion so that they reflect informed opinions and informed analysis, all right? So I want to hear your applications and analysis and thoughts and whatnot, but they need to be informed by the actual content. All right, so that's real important to me, 40% of your grade, and we'll have a lot of fun. This is the way that you can connect with other students, and I can connect with you on a regular basis, and hopefully you find the discussion board valuable. Now, the next assignment is the book review and critique. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to read one of those books. You're going to read all of them, but you're going to pick one of them, either Sussex, Pierce, or Rayner, and do a 3 to 5 page review and critique. I have the instructions down there below, so to please read through those real carefully, and you'll see exactly what I'm looking for. And again, at the graduate level, I'm not just looking for kind of this is a great book, and here's what I liked about it, blah, blah, blah. I want some of that, but I also want a bit of a critical analysis, all right? So sort of step back a little bit and put it in the context of larger issues. Think about a little more critically what was strong, what wasn't strong. Sort of look at it as a book reviewer, not a bookseller per se, you know what I mean? So don't tear it up or shred it up, but just try to give some measured response and critique of the book itself. And you'll see what I'm looking for when you read through the instructions. And then there's the application project. All right, so this is the big project for the class. I believe I actually have an additional video about it later on. If not, let me just talk about it real quick. And let me zip down to those instructions real quick here. Boom. All right, here we go. So you actually have 3 choices for this project here. You can do 1, a policy and procedures manual for your church or ministry, or a strategic plan for your church or ministry, or a human resources development plan. All right, so read through each of these projects here, and you'll get an idea of what you can do. And again, because we're all at different places and we kind of have different interests, I want to give you guys some variety instead of just giving you one kind of project. So some of you might say, man, yeah, we really need to work on the structure. I really need to develop a kind of a policies and procedures manual. That would be very helpful for where I'm at. Some of you might say, no, I like to think a little more strategically, a little more abstractly, to think about vision and goals and those sorts of things. Great. Then you want to do that strategic plan for your church or ministry. It'll give you the opportunity to do all those things. And then some of you really want to work on developing people. How do I help my people to grow? How do I do things like train, assess, evaluate, reward, motivate? How do I help people grow in their particular jobs, right? And to learn to get the skill sets they need for their particular jobs. Then you want to do a human resources development plan. That might be the kind of project for you. All right, so we're going to cover all of these topics in the class, but this project will give you the opportunity to focus in on just one of those particular things for your church or ministry. Now, you might be saying, well, I don't have a church or ministry right now. You might have to hypothesize and theoreticize and fantasize just a little bit about this. Maybe it would be a strategic plan for a future organization that you'd like to develop. Maybe you're in transition right now and you kind of have an idea for something. You could do something like that. You might have to use maybe information from a past position, past ministry, whatever. That's typically, I don't encourage that because you're kind of dredging up things from the past and whatever. So if you don't have something current that you can use, then maybe use it for a hypothetical future ministry. That would help you get some value out of that. All right. So let's go back in the course outline. Let's see if there's anything else I want to kind of highlight here. We talked about the requirements. Here is the grading evaluation, the percentage of the points based on various assignments, right? So like I said, 40% on online discussion. The book critique is worth 10%. That application project is worth 20%. And then the application project presentation. This is worth 10%. What we're going to do here in the last week of class, you guys are going to do a presentation. You could do a video, you could do a narrated PowerPoint, but I want you to somehow creatively find a way to present your project to the class. And what you'll do is you'll post a link in the discussion board, and then we can all look at it and watch it or whatever, and then make some comments, all right? So it's sort of like the last day of class, everybody stands up and gives their presentation of the project. Same exact concept we're going to do right here in the virtual world. Doesn't that sound like fun? Yeah, I think it sounds like fun. All right. All right, and then here's the grading scale. This is a pretty common grading scale we use here. And here's some more guidance on the guidelines. Some guidance on the discussion board, participation, what exactly I'm looking for. Again, I'm looking primarily for informed ideas to demonstrate content knowledge, but I'm also looking for engagement in the class, right? So I'm looking to see that you get in there, that you read other people's posts, and that you reply to them. And moreover, again, at the graduate level, I'm not just looking for kind of like, hey, good job, attaboy, way to go, you the man, that kind of stuff. I really want critical reflection and even challenge it maybe a little bit. Well, you said this, but I didn't understand this, or can you clarify this, or how does this apply to this, right? So if you always have some questions in your post back to the initial poster, that to me that shows good community engagement. So if you look at the rubric, you'll even see that that's the kind of thing I'm looking for. All right, so ask other students questions about their initial post, and that's how you kind of extend the conversation, right? So the initial poster can look at that and say, oh, okay, this is what they want to know from me, and then you follow up, and they can go back and forth for a few times. Now, by the way, in terms of my participation, I will participate. I will not respond to every post, so don't take it personally if you wrote the best post you ever thought and a professor didn't respond. I will get in there on a regular basis and make sure that things are moving along. I'll jump in there as appropriate, to either challenge or shed some light. You will see me in the discussion board, even though I may not have time to respond to every post in there. All right, so throughout the class, you will hear from me for sure. Don't worry, I'm not forgetting about you. But that's kind of my role. It's sort of like, look at discussion as what happens in the classroom when you're kind of breaking off into groups and the professor's kind of walking around, and once in a while he'll sit down and maybe he'll say something, but for the most of the part he's kind of letting you guys interact. Okay, so I will be involved, but it is a kind of a student-focused activity as well. All right. And then here's a schedule. I really want you to be involved early in the discussion board. I was by Wednesday should be the latest that you should respond to my initial post, and then by Thursday and Friday you should respond to others, and then by Friday or Saturday kind of finish up to any responses made to you. All right, so this is really important to me. If you post past Wednesday, I will deduct points for community engagement. All right, because some people think, well, it's just one more little thing I got to write, a little mini essay, so I'll just post it like on Sunday night. Right? It doesn't work like that, right? Because maybe you can demonstrate the content well if you post on Sunday night, but you're not involved in the community engagement aspect of discussion, right? So it really doesn't make any sense to start posting like your initial post on Saturday or Sunday, because that's like coming into a classroom and everybody else is already kind of trickling out, and you're running in and going, hey, everybody, wait, I got to get my points for this, so stick around, please. You don't want to do that, right? Because then everybody feels obligated. Oh, all right, here comes Joe. Somebody's got to respond to Joe. Kind of that whole guilt thing that kind of creeps in, right? So you don't want to do that to your fellow students. So post early, right? And here's kind of my approach: is you get in the discussion, do your reading early in the week, Monday, Tuesday. You're ready to discuss on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then that gives you the weekend to work on your papers, start working on your project, right? So save your weekend energy for some of those bigger tasks, not for the discussion board, all right? That's kind of my approach to how a good online week should sort of unfold. And here is the rubric for evaluating the online discussions. And again, you'll see this each week. I will literally use this rubric to grade your discussions each week. So take a look at this and shoot for this outstanding column right here. Okay, there's 3 criteria and there's 4 different levels, and really shoot for this outstanding and you will get 100% on this, all right? And then I already mentioned the reading assignments. Each week you're going to be reading from the primary textbook, Management Essentials. There's the 3 secondary textbooks. And I don't have a specific schedule for reading these because I know we all kind of read at a different pace. Your goal, though, should be to have those books finished by the end of the class. So I would say they're not that big. I would consider reading one book every 2 weeks, all right? So figure out how much you're going to have to read in order to read this book in 2 weeks, right? I think that's a manageable pace for the size of these books and for the length of this class. And that way, by the end, if you're all done, by week 7, you're done. You don't have to worry about it. You can start preparing for that final exam. And then the HBR, what you're going to do now, there's a bunch of articles. I think there's actually 10 articles in there. And what you're going to do is each week you're going to read a different one. It's your choice, whichever one you want to read. You're going to read it, and then there's going to be a discussion thread about that particular not that particular, about the article that you read, okay? So each week, we might have 5 students doing this article and 3 students doing this article, and you guys can discuss with each other, those who read the same article, or you might be more interested in somebody who wrote about a different article, and you'll say, I'm going to read that one next week, right? So it's really kind of your choice, but you pick the article that you want to read and discuss, and by the end of the class, you should have read at least 5 of those and discussed 5 of those, all right? You can read all of them if you want, but I'll let you decide. But at minimum, you need to read 5 of those articles, all right? And then there's the book review and critique, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Here's the specific instructions for that. And then the application project I already talked about. And here's how the project will be evaluated right here. So please read that carefully. I will literally use these criteria here when I grade the paper, okay? And then, of course, what would a class be without a final exam? This exam in this class, I believe, is a mixture of multiple choice, true, false, fill in the blanks, multiple guess, matching, and all those kinds of crazy little fun things that you guys all love. I would recommend, in order to keep up, to prepare for that, to really each week make sure you know what the key concepts were primarily from that Management Essentials textbook, all right? That's where the primary information from the exam is going to come from. So I'm going to post PowerPoint lectures you can use, for your study notes. And then at the end, towards the end of the class, about the 6th week, I'll post a study guide, and then I'll tell you exactly what you need to know. But if you've been keeping up with the main concepts in that book each week, then really the final exam shouldn't be that hard, okay? It shouldn't be a mystery what's going to be expected in the exam. I think you guys can do good. And then here's the course outline and schedule, so please take a look at this. Here's the reading flow, how much you should be reading from each from the primary textbook, and then I just say each week ongoing for those books because I'm letting you guys pace those out. All right, so that's about it. Here's my course policies, online participation policy. I expect you to be in there regularly. And again, this is sort of like attendance, right? So if you don't show up for a week, it's like you're absent for a week. And if you don't show up, you can't make up discussion participation, all right? So please do your best to be involved in that every week. Late course work policy. You can turn in work late, that's fine, but there will be a penalty, 10% per week. So please do your best to turn things in on time, all right? And then, of course, the usual stuff about academic integrity. And please, let me just kind of remind you, and for some reason it still shows up now and again, but understand what plagiarism is, right? Plagiarism is when you write down other people's words and you don't give them credit, you don't cite them, you don't use quotation marks. It's fine to use other people's words. In fact, I want to know that you actually read and understand some of the key concepts from other people's words in this book, in this class. However, you need to use those things called quotation marks, and you need to cite them accurately and correctly in the bibliography of the class. And that's the easy way to avoid plagiarism. All right, so enough said about that. You'll submit your documents online. Everything's online. There will be an assignment submission place in Blackboard. Please use your name on all your assignments. I know that you know this is final paper, but I don't know what final paper means. It's got to say like John Doe final paper, right? Then I know what it is, right? So please put your last name at the beginning of the file submission, so when I'm looking at all of my coursework, I know exactly that it's yours, all right? That'll help me a lot. And there's a bibliography if you're interested in more reading and some of the things that inform a class like this. So that is about it. I know I took a long time to go through that, but hopefully this is helpful. If I didn't answer your questions, if you still have specific questions, please let me know. There's a general question and answer place in the discussion board for ongoing kind of non-content related questions, and I'll try to get in there, and sometimes students can get in there and you can help each other out on that as well. And of course, I'm always available through email, and I even have my phone number in the course syllabus, and I'm open to a phone call now and again if it's course related. Don't call me in the middle of the night, if you got problems, you need counseling or whatever, call a professional counselor, call your pastor, don't call me. But if it's course related, and if it's at a reasonable time, go ahead and call me. I'm more than happy to help you. Don't feel like you're bothering me. Don't feel like I'm too busy. I always get that, well, I know you're busy. Pshaw, I'm never too busy for my students. You guys are my number one priority when I'm teaching a class, and I'm always happy to make time for you, all right? So I hope that helps. I'm looking forward to a great class. Looking forward to chopping it up with you guys and helping you understand some of these cool concepts that I believe are really going to help you in your life, in your ministry, and wherever you are, your jobs. These are kind of ideas that you can take with you, and it's going to help you a lot. All right, so blessings to you all. That's it for now, and I will see you online.